Hello and welcome to Hoyt's Points. I'm Hoyt, and this is the first video in a series where I talk to the number one score holders on different take and hold boards about that character through the magic of tier lists. The first four videos will be the time period characters, and the first one up is Operator Ori. The current board holder for Operator Ori is SetheryVanDamn with an incredible 202,790. I had the pleasure of facing Sethery in the last tournament, but today I'm facing him on friendlier terms to talk about what you should be buying in your Operator Ori runs and when. Without further ado, here's the tier list. Alright, I'm here with SetheryVanDamn. How are you doing today, Seth?
Doing alright.
Alright. How many Steam hours do you have in H3VR?
Yeah, I think I want to say it's just under 300, 294, 296, something like that.
That's a lot.
Not as many as some folks in the community, but yeah, it's a couple.
All right, so we're talking today about Operator Ori. What do you like about playing Operator Ori specifically?
So it's funny because when I first started running any of the characters, I didn't really understand why people chose Ori, and I think that I agree with the choice of Ori now, and I like Ori the most as well because it's one of the most balanced characters as far as the roles you can get, while also being, casting a wide enough net around all the weapons in the game, because some other characters, for example, are they're fun to play and they've got the right progression, but they have like very few weapons in them, so they're not nearly as fun to play, and they're not nearly as balanced either.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for fighting the SOSIGs and the encryptions and not with your weapon.
Yeah, well,
all of the things in Ori tend to, well, with some exceptions, tend to function pretty smoothly.
Yeah, there are a couple of hitches here and there, but by and large.
Okay, so let's move on to this tier list here. We're going to be ranking things by how likely you are to buy whatever's here on the tier list when you see it in a shop, I think. And we're going to go hold by hold. First, we're going to start with our vegetables here of Powerups sausages. And we are assuming that we're like doing some kind of tournament rules. So we've got, we're spawn locking, we're standard health, we're doing 5-hold in hallways. We're not going to assume that you've been restarting over and over to get a good starting weapon. You've got something that's okay, and you're just trying to get the best score you can without restarting. You're trying to get to the end, and make it through. So, first sausage here, the health sausage. Are you buying the health sausage? It costs 5 points.
Yeah, almost never. The health sausage is just useless. I mean, there are a couple of times where I don't mind having health sausages, especially if you're newer to the game. But once you get past a certain point and you're not really concerned about dying, especially in standard health, there's really no reason to buy them ever. I'll get some sometimes when I roll, the next choice, which is the random dog, but never pick them out. I don't think I've ever rolled one.
Yeah, I think the health sausage is part of like take and hold being like a roguelike. In every roguelike, it's a bad idea to buy the health.
Yeah, it's definitely not the right call in my opinion anyway here.
All right, the random sausage. The random sausage will give you one of any other sausage plus one extra, the Cyclops dog. Are you buying the random sausage?
So this is really I don't know if this is advice I'd give to anybody else, but okay, let me take it seriously first and then I'll give the meme answer after. So seriously, yeah, I do roll this every once in a while, and that's because obviously you have a chance to get everything, right? You can get defense dogs, and those are really important if you're trying to play one hit, or if you're playing standard health and you're just not as good at getting through a run without taking a bunch of fire. You can still get those health. infinite ammo is always great. Bullet boost is great. Muscle meat, not as great until recently when it got a bit of a buff, which I'm sort of a fan of, which allows it to reduce recoil and such. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
You would be a fan of it, wouldn't you, Seth? We'll talk
Maybe.
about that in a second. But
Maybe.
what do you think? C tier for the dog, for the random dog?
I think C tier, not because it's not interesting to me, but because it's such a wide amount of the power ups that, and so many of them are less useful that it's not quite. I don't think it's worth the points in most cases.
How do you
But
feel about the Cyclops?
I was gonna say the Cyclops dog makes it an instant S tier. It's the greatest. So it's the best power up in the game, and everybody should spend all their points on this because of that. Naturally.
I think we're going to agree to disagree on the Cyclops dog.
I've proved it. I've run it. There's recordings out there. I have used the Cyclops dog to great effect against agiles, and yeah, it's worth. It's worth if you're not good at shooting agiles, because all you have to do is look at them,
That's
and then
true.
they just explode. So
Yeah. All right, moving on to the shield dog.
Shield dog is interesting for standard health. I used to roll these a lot when I was first learning how to play, because I would basically forego everything to get a faster node pop. And so I would just eat damage sometimes, and I would think of my health as a resource to spend rather than trying to worry about like keeping it all or not getting hit or whatever. I don't really get hit as much now, so it's not really an issue. I don't roll it anymore. But if you kind of have that mindset and you think that you get your best scores when you're ignoring the SOSIGs and just trying to pop nodes, I don't think it's a terrible roll. So I'd also probably put this one C tier or something along those lines.
Yeah, if you're like a player that's like above 190, you're finishing usually above 190, but you hate agiles. Like popping a shield dog just to focus on the agiles will probably help you get a lot better score. I think it's a little bit, maybe C tier. I think
I'll tell you what though,
it's not going to push you into
talking,
like 200k, but it'll help you get better.
no, I would put this S tier if we were talking about one hit mode though, because of the fact that it allows you to ignore SOSIGs and shoot nodes faster, but standard health being the given, not as much.
All right. I guess we should say the shield dog either makes you invisible or invincible, and all dogs last what, 30 seconds each. It's a long time. I want to
say, yeah, they give you a pretty good amount.
No. The ammo dog. This will either give you infinite ammo for the duration or bullet boost. How do you feel about rolling the ammo dog?
This genuinely depends on what weapon I have at the time, right? This is almost always a late game roll for me. I don't think I'll ever roll this early on. It just doesn't really seem worth it. Because if you spend the points on it early and then you end the game with 100-round drums of some kind, you're kind of wasting your time and your points. However, I have a philosophy with the bullet boost that I don't think a lot of people share, which is that bullet boost is not the most useful in the world. I mean, you're always going to aim to have a gun that can take care of everything for you. But the reason that bullet boost is nice is, for one, you can knock down the hard cover that pops up in all of the rooms. Really quickly, even if you have inefficient weapons for doing that. And then the other reason is that when you get to speed meet rounds, which I don't know how far you want to go into explaining that, but when you get into speed meet rounds and you're getting SOSIGs to spawn basically as fast as you can shoot them and make sure they explode and despawn, bullet boost allows you to do that in way fewer bullets, sometimes in one, even with guns that typically don't do that, which allows more SOSIGs to spawn, more SOSIGs, more headshots, more points, higher score. So.
Yeah. So usually the speed meet that really matters is wave 2 of hold 5 is really the important one. So what do you think about the ammo dog?
It kind of is hard to place this one. I think that it ranges wildly. It can be an A if you have, like, for example, a Benelli M2, because the tube doesn't hold that many shells and you can just kind of, you know,
Yeah,
rat it off as hard as you need with the infinite ammo. But then other times, like I said, you have a 100 round drum, it doesn't matter as much. So maybe B tier as well for this one.
I think I agree with that. All right. And finally, the muscle meat. This does two things. It both improves your melee damage and reduces your recoil massively. And I think you had a certain role in this sausage.
Yeah, no, it got an update where it went from exclusively doing more melee damage, which it was kind of a meme. Like, nobody used it, nobody liked it. If you ever rolled it, you know, you kind of rolled your eyes and threw it across the room rather than eating it or whatever.
Yeah, it was definitely what you did not want to get from the random dog.
Yeah, that's usually what it would be, is you'd roll the random. Nobody rolled this. I don't know if you could find any clips of the entire tournament of anybody rolling this, because it just wasn't useful. And even now with its proposed changes, which, to be completely fair, were not exclusively my idea. I heard those rumblings somewhere else. I just threw them onto a Reddit post and Anton saw it and made the changes, but to help with recoil and things like that, which I actually think now is interesting. I'm curious to see if this gets rolled more now that it's got those changes, because when you think of, like, high-powered weapons, even an Ori that kick pretty hard, like a FAL that has, you know, 50-round drum or something like that, that
Yeah, it's
can
hard to stay on
kick.
target.
Yeah, especially if you're trying to go after agiles or something. So, you know, would a muscle meat help somebody hit agiles more precisely if they're trying to, like, burst at them, which I think, yeah, for sure. So
Yeah.
old F, new.
Experimental D tier.
Yeah, I think that's a little bit to be seen, but it doesn't upset me to put it there.
Okay. Our second helping of vegetables here is attachments. There's so many. It's never the one you want.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we can go through this. Are you ever buying a flash grenade?
I have heard of people who do. I have never bought flash grenades. I don't find them interesting. F tier.
Same with regular grenades.
Regular grenades as well, yeah. I just don't. I don't see a use for them, really.
Um, attachment adapters.
No, I don't ever roll these. I think one of the issues with and you'll find that I don't roll most of these, partially because they're not useful, but also because the economy gets tight in these runs. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have fun money, and you can't really spend it like that. And so, for even these next two, right, for
Yeah.
whatever melee weapons,
I never
and
even
then
keep a melee weapon in my pocket. I don't know why I'd ever buy one.
yeah, I think that these both of these bayonets and
Yeah.
melee weapons are both F tier.
Putting a melee weapon on the end of your gun, also bad.
Yeah, I don't see the value of the points anyway. As for compensators, muzzle brakes compensators, right?
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of these. I recognize openly that they have an effect and
It's
that
like
it can be
45% recoil reduction sometimes, 35, 45.
yeah, it can be significant, but I don't find them worth it. And the reason I think mostly is because, like it says there, 5 points is a lot.
5 points. It's so expensive.
Unbelievably expensive, and they just don't. They never seem worth that money to me. So I know
Yeah.
people will. I don't. I don't roll these. Honestly, for me, I put them F tier because of the value to point ratio. But if you
I
want to
think
put them higher than that, I won't complain.
I think if you're already set, you got a 100 round drum and a gun you like, you got your red dot sight, and you got some points, it's okay to spend a little money for a little Gucci attachment.
Yeah, that's fair. I won't tell you you're wrong for doing it, but it's just I don't think I ever would.
Flashlights. Active I think flashlights actively harm you.
I think we need a tier under F for flashlights. And the reason why is not because they wouldn't be useful, it's because Anton has decided in his infinite wisdom, blessed be, that they light up the smoke, which apparently they do in real life,
Yeah.
in his defense. But they light up the muzzle, the smoke that comes out of the muzzle, and makes it just impossible to see anything.
Just blinds you instantly all the time.
Nothing at all, which is really unfortunate because there are some areas in the Take and Hold hallways map where I would love to be able to use a flashlight, like going down the stairs of, I'm pretty sure it's, oh gosh, I'm testing myself, is it Yellow Room?
Yeah, Yellow Pit Room.
Yeah, Yellow Pit Room.
It's really that one spot.
So dark in there. I would love to be able to use a flashlight, but you just can't do it. You just can't see anything. So terrible.
All right. The foregrip.
Okay. Again, kind of like muzzle brakes, I don't have a problem with these, but I don't roll them. And a lot of that has to do with the way that I choose to grip firearms in H3, because there's a few different schools of thought, or not really schools of thought, but just different methods of how you can grip firearms. And putting into words is difficult, but you called it the bunny grip method, which I think is funny.
It's like the assisted pistol grip, like when you hold your offhand next to your primary hand instead of using the foregrip of the weapon.
Right. So, you're essentially holding the firearm with one of your controllers, and then the other controller is just next to your on hand. Your off hand is just next to your on hand, which gives the gun a stabilizing effect. And I might be wrong about this, I think that stabilizing effect is actually less than if you're two-handing the weapon, but not by a significant amount. It's just ever so slightly different, if at all.
Doesn't really matter on hallways, I don't think, if it's different, because the range is...
So, foregrips, they help if you're two-handing. For me, I don't two-hand weapons. Doesn't help me at all. I don't use them.
It's also just an ergonomic benefit for as far as I know. I don't think they have any mechanical advantage.
I thought they had a recoil advantage to them, but I'm not the person to know because I just don't use them.
Look, I don't buy them either.
All right, F tier it is.
Yeah, the iron sights are going straight in.
Yeah, I don't think I need to say anything about that.
The laser pointer.
This is definitely up there as far as things to roll. I think these are really important depending on, again, what weapon you have. Everything matters what weapon you have, right? But if you have a weapon that doesn't have a Picatinny rail, for example, or at least on the top, so there's no way to throw a sight on it and you have to use irons or something along those lines, this is a really great way to get on target faster. Yeah. Now, they do have the downside that they're, depending on what rail you put it on, they'll be a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, a little bit above, a little bit below. I roll these every so often. I prefer a red dot to a laser, but there are some people who don't roll that way. I think this is at least B tier, maybe even A tier.
I think every single player who's like new or pretty unexperienced at Take and Hold is screaming that the laser is S tier. Why is it not S tier?
I think it's not S tier specifically because of, again, the point cost.
It is 4 points.
If you're not comfortable with point firing and, going through admittedly poor apertures in some cases for firearms, for iron sights, that is, I can understand your desire to put this in S tier. The more comfortable you are, the less important this becomes, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
I think it can go in C tier. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes I'll go in for the laser. It's usually, I would rather have a red dot, like you said, but if the shops just aren't giving me red dots, I'll go for the laser.
Fair enough.
The red dot sight.
So this actually, I think, is binary. It is either S tier or F tier exclusively because, there are some weapons in Ori that will spawn you with red dots. Yeah. And so if you have one and you don't need any more, you never roll it for the whole run. Yeah. If you don't have one, I consider this pretty darn important. I think this is definitely an S tier. Being able to ignore some of the really, really poor iron sights in the game by throwing one of these on there is a must, in my opinion.
SCAR iron sights, AA-12 iron sights.
I don't understand why you don't like looking through telephone poles on the SCAR.
We're on to the stock.
Okay, yeah. So the stock is obviously super situational. There's only a handful of guns, even in the pool, that don't have stocks by default that can be equipped with one. But
Hmm.
I'm going to take it one further and say that because of my awful luck, I hate this roll. And that's because there's one specific stock, and I think it's like the broom handle Mauser stock,
Hmm.
that has like that. It's inverted, that where it's like goes from like a low. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe it, but basically, there's a big chunk of wood that sits directly in front of where you would look down for the firearm.
Right.
So oftentimes when you use that stock on a gun, you can't see anything. You're just like you're looking through the stock or attempting to use the sights of the gun. And that's the one I always get, which just sucks so much. But I think it can turn some of these guns that aren't very good into some of the best rolls in Ori. So I think at the very least it's C tier, maybe B tier.
Yeah, yeah. If you need one like Spas 12, it turns the Cobra into a useful SMG from a pistol. I think we're going B. I don't buy it because I don't use the virtual stock. But
Well, I don't either actually, but it still has the benefits, right, of giving the recoil reduction regardless. And so,
yeah,
you're still getting something. And also, on top of all this, it's cheap. It's 1 point.
that's true. It is. It's kind of what like if you need it, sometimes it's just there, waiting for you in the shop.
Yep.
The silencer.
Suppressors are, I think, as I've gotten better at the game and as I've gotten higher up on the leaderboards, I genuinely think that this is like one of the most important things that you can roll. I think it's absolutely S tier. I
Wow,
think it's,
straight to S tier.
yeah, 100%. And the reason is because of the unfortunate SOSIG pathing in the game today. And so what'll happen often as you're taking or holding rather, as you're holding a room is that SOSIGs are set to path from a specific location into that room, and there's a couple of different ways they can do that. And oftentimes they can get confused and get stuck in between, hallways or pathways and go an opposite direction after walking 90% of the way to one and switch around and go to the other. And all of that time where they're doing that, you won't get additional SOSIGs to spawn.
Yep.
And so you're losing score because SOSIGs are getting stuck, they're not moving. What suppressors allow you to do is fire and take out these SOSIGs without them coming into the rooms in an alarmed state. And also it keeps them from being alarmed while they're pathing to the room so they don't freak out and change what they're doing and trying to go from different directions. It saves a ton of time, adds a lot of score. It's really important.
Yeah, I think I've been coming around on suppressors. I will take it off if I'm doing J hallway because it screws up the guys that spawn down the hallway. But yeah, I think suppressors, especially yellow pit room for hold 5 if you're doing seed 8, it's really important to keep them running down that hallway.
Yeah, really important role. And it's expensive, but it's not the most expensive, so I think it's fair.
Okay, the underbarrel grenade launcher.
Yeah, this is not
I think this
useful.
is F for fun tier, really.
Yeah.
If you want to have fun, sometimes you'll spawn this and you'll actually get a grenade launcher. Most of the time, you're going to get the single shot shotgun under barrel thing, and you're just gonna be really sad that you spent 6 points on a single shot buckshot.
Yeah, I actually think that it's horrible, but I did once get the master key, that underbarrel shotgun, and it spawned with frag rounds,
Oh
which
wow!
is a 12 gauge round that you can use in any 12 gauge shotgun. So the only time that has ever been useful to me is when I thought the run was basically over and I rolled that and it gave me frag rounds, which is not a shotgun shell you're supposed to be able to have in Ori. And so that was like a fun joke, but it wasn't good.
I had no idea that could even happen.
Neither did I until that happened. So
And the scope, look, we're in hallways, folks. If we were on Northwest Dakota,
yeah,
maybe we're on
there
hallways.
There have been some instances where I have a horrible iron sight and I have no red dot, and I haven't been able to find a red dot, and I've got 1 point left and no ability to re-roll for other utility, where I will buy that. And the reason why is because there are some scopes in that pool that can be set to 1x. And
Yeah.
I think that's sometimes preferable to nothing at all. I might even move it out of F tier for that reason, but only just.
Ooh, a sometimes buy.
Yeah, it's a specific situation, but it happens to me enough that I am disappointed by it plenty.
That is an insane desperation buy, I'll be honest.
Right, but when you're talking about the situation where you've only got one run, you've got to deal with what you have. You've got to try and make everything work like you would in a tournament run. That's the kind of desperation move that I would make.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Okay. We're finally on to guns, folks. Everybody's excited about guns. So, you're going into hold one. You don't really like the gun that you got from the box. So you're looking to buy something maybe. You go into hold one and you see the bolt action rifle.
I think, and this is going to be, if we're talking specifically about the first supply room before you've gone into any holds, and you're not a fan of what you originally rolled out of the box,
Mm-hmm.
I think I buy almost everything here, all of it, no
Yeah,
matter what it is. And the reason for that is because it's free, right?
that's
If
true.
you can buy one of these 1 point off start items, you should, because it's something that you can use if you need to switch, because maybe it's faster than trying to reload whatever you got stuck with. It also could, in the case of the bolt action rifle, many of those come with a red dot sight, which is unbelievably valuable for 1 point and for nothing, because you can recycle the gun if you don't like what it came with, right?
Yeah, and it's
Bolt
it's only a
action,
1 in 8 chance to not get a red dot sight.
right. Bolt action, 100% rolling it every time if it's the first hold. And you know what? Even outside of that, if I need a red dot, I will roll that as well.
Yeah,
So
I
definitely up there.
yeah. The break action shotgun. Now this lets you start rolling shotgun ammo earlier. So I think it probably goes A. You're probably not using it in that first hold, but it does let you start rolling ammo.
That's fair. I think I could go with that. Usually whenever I roll, like I said, I'll buy all of these if it's in that first round. But
Hmm.
I would almost never use that, because with my luck it'll be the super shorty, and that's just miserable.
Yeah. Also, I do have to mention that the BFR on the revolver roll does come with a red dot as well, and that's a 1 in 14, as we were talking about desperation for a red dot. That's a desperation roll right there.
Yeah, I actually, because of the fact that I'm left-handed and I run all of my firearms left-handed, revolvers are F tier for me, because they break open the wrong direction unless it's the
Yeah.
R8. But, I understand that that's not an ailment many people need to deal with. So, revolvers, I guess.
Okay. Hold two, there's a lot of stuff that we can roll hold two. But I think straight up, first and foremost, I think this is going straight into S tier. How about you?
Yeah, the tube-fed automatic shotguns are totally the best of the best for the
Yeah.
entire thing. For point to power ratio is just like next to nothing. It's one of the best, if not the best rolls you can make.
You spend 2 points and you get the best encryption tool for the next two holds that you could possibly get. If I see this in the shop, the first shop I go to, I'm not checking the other shop. I am instantly buying this.
It's definitely the most important, and it's so important even that if I ever roll the VT13, the shorty,
Hmm.
which is I think the weakest one in the semi-auto tube-fed shotgun pool, I will
Yep.
just roll it again and try for something different, because
Yeah.
it's just so important to get something like this off the start.
Even if this costed 5 points, you're saying it's totally worth it.
Yeah, I think for sure. I don't 5 points would maybe change the dynamic of it a little bit, but it's definitely worth it.
Yeah. I 100% agree. If you're going for like a score run, this is like the most important thing that you're looking for. Okay. Now, going into hold 2, a bolt action. Maybe if you still need a red dot, but I think this falls pretty far.
Yeah, I don't think I'm rolling this unless I need that sight. It's still cheap. It's still 1 point. So you know what? Honestly, I would recommend doing is if you're on hold 2 and you have a recycle, I would buy it anyway, no matter what it is, and then just recycle it. So that worst case scenario, if you do get a second red dot, you can throw that on a backup gun, what have you.
Yeah. The brake shotgun on hold 2.
No, I think that's F. I would
Yeah.
never roll that. I can't imagine any instance in where I would want a break action on
Yeah.
hold 2.
If you want to just cycle, see what the ammo spawner gets, you've already got either this shotgun or this shotgun. You don't want that one. Yuck.
No.
The 1 point pistol on hold 2.
No, I don't think I would roll that one either. I think that also goes F tier, and that's mostly just because there's really no reason to. I mean, any of these 1 point things you can just for fun as long as you've got a recycler nearby, no harm, but I wouldn't.
Yeah. How do you feel about the 2 point pistol though?
So the 2 point pistol is an interesting pool because there's a lot of high capacity pistols. I think that's literally the name of the pool is the high cap automatic pistols, right?
Yeah.
Which I think is like 14 rounds and up according to the wiki here. And yeah, that is a desperation play. I don't think it's awful. You can get some really solid weapons out of that, like the 5.7, for example, which will pen most not only I think hardens, assuming you have the right ammo types, but also heavily armored SOSIGs. It's not a roll I like to make, but there have been times where I feel like I need to get something going in the run, and I will make the choice to buy that just because I feel like I need to get something better than what I have, but I'm not looking to invest, or maybe I've rolled the dice a couple of times to find something better and just haven't been able to.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't feel like I ever feel I always feel like I'm being pushed into a corner to buy one, but it never feels super bad to me. Do you know what does feel super bad to have to buy? Our next entry.
Oh, I am going to disagree with you on this.
Oh, you're a fan of the machine pistol roll.
I am a fan of the machine gun pistol roll, and it almost. This is actually something that also changed as I got better at the game. When I first started, I actually really liked the machine pistol roll because I didn't really understand the value in re-rolling the weapons, right? So spending a point to trying to get something else. So I felt like there were so many times where I would roll my entire stack of tokens away trying to get to something else. When the machine pistol has a 50-50 shot, you either get the 18C, the Glock 18C, or the Glock 22 full auto mod, right?
Yep.
One of those has a selector switch, and I believe it's the 18C. And so you basically get an unbelievably high capacity semi-automatic pistol with a fun switch 50% of the time. And if you can stock it, it becomes higher capacity and stronger than a lot of the, well, I won't say a lot, but a good number of the weaker SMGs you can get in the earlier set of SMG rolls. So I am actually a fan of this, and I would roll it, especially if I have a stock.
Okay, so where I guess we never talked about the 2 point pistol. You want to throw that in C, and then where do you put the machine pistol?
Yeah, 2 point pistol I think is fair in C, but I would just barely. Like I would say it's right from going down another tier. But the machine pistol, I think that's hot take. I think it's a B, honestly.
Wow. Wow, the machine pistol in B. We're getting some hot takes.
You know, I think it's a B if you have a stock. I feel like I need to associate that properly in my head because without a stock, it's definitely not. I think without the stock, which you can't assume you always have, I think it's a C. I think we should put it there. But if you have the stock, you can upgrade the Glock mags. it becomes a really strong SMG, low recoil, great iron sights. It's really strong. So yeah, I think C.
The 1-point shotgun for Hold 2.
I don't ever roll this. I mean, there's a lot of people who are really efficient with pump action shotguns. I'm getting better with them now, but still not perfect. I think this is, I think D is a perfect place to put this. It's just for Hold 2, it's not something I would be interested in.
Shotguns for Hold 2, I think, are really good encryption clears because you've got your swarms and your hardens, and shotguns are really good at those. So
yeah, they are really great
for this one. You probably already have a shotgun from Hold 1. Hopefully you already do. But maybe if you don't, maybe you buy it. Hold 2 revolver.
I'm gonna take a back seat on this one and let you choose because, like I said, my ailment of being left-handed, I hate this all the time.
You don't want to buy this. You don't want to buy this. All right. Eagle-eyed viewers might have seen when I flashed when you posted your number 1 score that you were using the P90 to set it. So talk me down from S tier. Is the SMG roll an S tier roll?
So I don't think it is. Just because I got the record with a P90 that I rolled, I'm pretty sure round 2, unironically, because it's possible to get the 3-point SMG on round 2. I don't think that the roll itself is S tier. The reason for that is that for every P90, there is, a Keter.
There are stinkers in that pool. Absolute stinkers.
It gets bad. And, even some of the other firearms that are like sort of mid don't hold up late game, and you just have to evolve out of them. And sometimes they take a lot of points before you do that. So, example, the Vector, right? The Vector is 45, of course, right? 45 in even API is strong in the first few rounds, but really loses damage in the later rounds, especially because I think the barrel of the Vector is so short, so the velocity is low, it doesn't pen, it just doesn't do the damage you need it to. And the problem with that is that you spend 3 points on the Vector, right? And then you've already got to deal with the fact that you've got a Vector with, I forget what the weird mag capacity is of a default Vector.
Not high enough.
Definitely not. But you've got the weird little Vector mag. It's got its strange selector switch already. 25 rounds, I think, is what the standard mag comes for. And it's got such an unbelievably high rate of fire that it just burns through it instantly. And then you spend another 3 points to get the drum mags, which don't have that many bullets either. And then it's just, you've spent 6 points now, which you could have had an AR for on this SMG. And a lot of them will eat your points that way. So long-winded way to say S tier, I don't think so. Strong roll, yes. I think this is A or B, depending on what you get out of it, of course.
If you don't find the shotgun, you're probably upgrading to an SMG here.
Yeah, I would say.
We're going into Hold 3. Hold 3 is a lot of hardens, 3 swarms, and 2 recursive. And it's our first chance to get the big boys, the AR and the BR. So, you come out first shop, you see an AR. Are you instantly buying it?
I'm not, and the reason why is because the first time you can see a 6-point AR, the pool is huge, and the amount of junk that can be in that is just, it's significant.
There are a lot of stinkers.
There's so many awful guns that you can get in this pool, and I don't think it's worth it to roll instantly, especially if you're in a position where you don't have to, right? So a lot of times what I'm looking for every time I roll or every time I'm going into the next hold is, okay, are the current firearms or is the current equipment that I have sufficient to deal with whatever's coming up next? Not really worried about the next round after that. not really worried about the end game. It's just what can help me get the next hold taken care of.
Yeah.
And the first time I see a 6-point AR, I will only buy it if like things have gone horribly wrong, worst case scenario run. I'm running with like a 2-point pistol with no stock, or like the machine pistol, no stock, and I've just got to try and get away from it. But the low cap assault rifle pool is almost a bit of a trap because there's a lot of rifles in it that you can't upgrade the mags for. They may be proprietary. It doesn't have a rail. It may just be iron sights, which may not be great. It's not a great use of 6 points unless you absolutely have to. So
VZ58s, I'm calling you out.
Yeah, that's one of them. That's for sure. And I think the wiki here says there's 3 of those in that pool, which is just, the chances like, you get those are already 3x.
The SKS Modern, like there are like, ugh.
Oh, the SKS is one of the banes of my existence. I hated getting that thing.
But you can high roll. You can get something like the G36.
You can. You definitely can. I feel like it's important to stress that that's really unlikely, but it's totally possible. So, you can get away scot-free and not get, eaten up by that, but there's a good chance. So I pass this up often, but if I need it, I would put this C tier, honestly. There's just too much junk. It's not bad, but there's too much junk, and oftentimes just leaves me with something I wish I didn't have, or ends up burning through so many tokens that it would have helped to not do it.
Yeah. Side note, the new AR refresh really made if you get a low capacity STANAG compatible mag, it's way more painful to upgrade it now. Paying 3 points for 5 bullets like 4 times in a row is just ouch.
Yeah, Anton, please fix. Economy doesn't handle well the 17 different flavors of STANAG. I love them. They look beautiful. They're great. Economy broke. Please fix.
The BR roll. Both of our favorite roll here. Seth, where's this going?
Ungy bungy. Wait, stop. No, I'm not a fan of the battle rifles. I think that a lot of people make really great points in saying that they're really not that bad, especially if you're looking at the later rounds, but they have great stopping power. I'll give them that. The low capacity and the fact that there's really only, a handful of options that you can get out of it that keep it from being something I ever roll, honestly.
Yeah. The 6 point, there's a 50-50 chance of getting the M1A, and both you and I have some very negative thoughts about that gun.
Yeah, the M1A is, people really disagree. Some people who are very talented at the game really disagree with me on saying that it's not great. The reason that I don't like it as much are a couple, because of the Picatinny being so far up on the barrel, because of the fact that its mag capacity is somewhat low. It recoils pretty hard, but also, like we talked about earlier, about the different ways that you can hold a gun, right? Mm-hmm. In the game, if you're trying to one-hand that gun and stabilize with just your offhand next to your main hand, it will neutral angle at like a 45 degree, and that's just completely unusable. Mm-hmm. You can break your wrist trying to straighten it, and I have sometimes. There have been runs where I've been in there and I have to roll the battle rifle because of whatever circumstance. I do get the M1A. I want to die for a second, and then I will just spend the entire rest of the run breaking my wrist over trying to use it, and it works, but it hurts a lot. I hate it.
Yeah, there's also something to be said for sure, a battle rifle has more stopping power, but the AR kills them in one headshot anyway. So what are you spending that power on? What's the point? Does it go C tier? Does AR go up to B tier because we like them a little better, or are they both kind of eh?
I think they both are C tier because of this fact that they're both the 6 point flavors, and the fact that the FAL is a good enough roll that it kind of saves the pool a bit.
Mm-hmm. Hold 3. Now, hold 2, the semi-auto shotgun was S tier. Is it still holding up on hold 3?
I think it can. I think if you're interested in buying from it still, it's not a bad idea, especially if you don't have something that can, sling 12 gauge rapidly downrange. I still think this is a great buy. I would think it's A tier, S tier even. It's only 2 points, right? If you roll it and you don't get what you want, you can just recycle it and get, you lose 1 point for the test of it. Now, if you got something else, maybe not, but I still roll this in this hold if I haven't figured this part out yet.
Yeah.
The reason being that, if we're about to go into hold 4, we're about to start dealing with agiles, which the buckshot just helps a ton trying to take that down.
Yeah, I think, still a great roll. The bolt action, are we still just buying it for the red dot? Probably.
Yeah, again, if you need to buy it for the red dot, it's never the wrong answer, especially if you have a recycling station. And even if you don't, right, just throw it over your shoulder and recycle it when you can available. If you're on round 3, you've got another handful of chances to go and get rid of it afterwards anyway.
The 2-point pistol, I think you've had 2 chances to hit an SMG at this point. You've had a chance to get an AR or a BR. I think the pistol falls even further.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever purchased a 2-point pistol at this point in the run. I think that if I'm at this point in the run and I'm purchasing a 2-point pistol, things have gone terribly wrong, and I am panicking greatly.
Yeah, I think we're going to maybe automatic pistol goes in the same thing, same logic.
Yeah, I would not want to have that at this point in time either.
And then revolver sits with his brother, hold 2, hold 3, still not great. Mag shoddy.
Mag-fed shotguns are interesting in that they have some of the highest upside with one of the lowest, downsides, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And that one downside has a name, and the name is the MP155K. That mag-fed shotgun takes the entire pool and seriously knocks it down 2-3 tiers even in my eyes, because the first time you see this, it's going to be 5 points, just like when you might see it later, and the chances of it being it's super expensive, and the chances of it being the 155K on the first time you can see it, so on this round 3, hold 3, it is almost feels like cursed to be the 155K, which I never roll it for that reason. I consider this a cursed roll on round 3. I won't roll it. I just won't do it. I put this F tier. I just won't do it.
Wow.
Because of that one gun. Now, I recognize that because of the fact that you can get the Saiga with the, with the drum mags and the AA-12,
yep.
which I like the AA-12, but I don't like the AA-12 for competitive and trying to run up boards. Like, I'll take it, but I don't love the AA-12 because of the delay between when you hit the trigger and when the firearm actually will, go through its cycle and let the shell loose.
Yeah,
mostly just because it's open bolt, right? There's really great upside here. If you're just balling out, trying to get the highest score possible, and gambling for that, so like trying to roll early on certain guns that will take you through the end, then maybe, but most of the time, no, I wouldn't roll this.
Yeah, you could also get some of these roll with really high capacity, or you could roll it with the lowest capacity possible. The Spaz 15 with its joke 3-round mag, or you could roll it with the Anaconda 15-round mag. Like, the disparity is huge between high rolls and low rolls in this category.
Yeah, too much risk and too much randomness. I mean, the whole game is random, but when I'm going for a good run with no resets, it's all about minimizing that randomness and trying to deal with what I can get as best as possible.
Now, the SMG hold 3, is it better than buying an AR hold 3?
So hold three for me is usually a bit of a wash, right? I'm either catching up or I'm ignoring it.
Mm-hmm.
Hold three is either I am terribly behind. I've rolled like a 2-point pistol or a machine pistol, and I'm trying to carry that through. Or I'm just going to be upgrading what I have. So bigger magazines for my current SMG, or trying to find something to deal with recursive encryptions because I have nothing but a Benelli M2, right?
Yeah.
You can make that work in some ways if you want to try and juggle slug rounds, but two-bed shotguns are really inefficient at trying to,
Trim
use
and
multiple
encryption.
rounds with.
Yeah.
It's just not. So I frequently ignore hold three. SMGs are good. They aren't bad here. They're just not something I roll because I'm either playing catch up or I'm saving my tokens for when things really start to get interesting on the next round.
Yeah. I think Hold 4 presents like the first big purchase, because this is like the end game when you start getting those harder encryptions, harder enemies. You get your swarms. No, wait, not swarms. Agiles, recursives, and stealths.
Yep.
So, going into Hold 4, it's also the first time you start seeing those breacher boys with the heavier armor. So, speaking of heavier armor, the 3-point anti-material rifle roll.
Yeah, so this is something that I see underutilized a ton as well, because much like its, cheaper cousin, the anti-material roll is also a great place to get sights.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're ever later into a run and you see you've got an anti-material roll, you've got the M200, the NTW20, the Hectate 2, and the AR-50A. 3 out of 4 of those will drop a sight with the firearm. So if you're desperate for a red dot or something, trying to go into these last 2 holds, which I think is really important, especially when you're trying to deal with agiles, this is a slightly more expensive way to make sure you can get what you need.
Are you ever pulling the trigger on the gun?
Never. Never, ever. It is exclusively a utility roll, and that's basically it. There's no reason to ever use this thing for anything. Even if you want to try and punch through a hardened for fun, there's more efficient ways to do it. You should never use this thing, in my opinion.
The fact that it comes with a red dot is the only thing keeping it out of the fun tier. And it is fun, but not going to generate score.
Yeah, for sure.
A 6-point on hold 4. You didn't like it on hold 3.
Yeah, hold 4 things change a little bit, right? It's going to be a better roll for hold 4, and it's still going to cost the same amount. This is going to be where I think you're going to want to start to roll this. Mm-hmm. I think, B tier, or honestly, I think A tier is good for this. When I first started setting really high scores, relatively high scores, my preferred loadout was a semi-auto tube-fed shotgun and some high-capacity AR of some type, and this is usually the pool where those lived. Mm-hmm. So it strikes the balance of being still 6 points, but much better rolls, a lot better guns, or more often you'll get better guns out of it, and they'll have better upgrade paths, starting with a 30-rounder so that you only have to upgrade it maybe 2-3 times to get to the big tombstones.
Yeah, and you probably have more money to do that with, too.
Right, and it'll save you a lot in the end if you can start to build that here rather than having to buy it all last second.
Yeah, more rolls on the ammo, too. So, 8-point AR, I think this is S tier. If you find this, it's pretty rare. You can't depend on it being there, but when it's there, I snap it up.
Yeah, I mean this 40 to 75 round is what it says. ARs are what live here, and majority of them are what you want. There's only a handful that I think you wouldn't, and those are more preference than anything else. Like if you get the big long G36 with the integrated sight, that's kind of miserable to use.
I love that thing. That's my high roll.
It's so fun, and I love it as like something to laugh at, but I can't stand that thing actually trying to use it. The height over bore is unbelievable, which hurts a lot when you're trying to use it to nail agiles.
And that red dot, you have to really get used to it.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you the amount of times that I look through what I assume is just slightly above, the barrel, and I look through the scope, and I'm like, oh, that's not right.
Yeah.
Go up another floor to the red dot.
Well, I think it's easier. I'm a twin sticker, so being able to just put it in my eye and still be able to move around without having to like move my arms and then reacquire the sight is a benefit.
Yeah, and a lot of I also play on twin stick, but a lot of the top scoring players don't. They play on arm swinger, which I think just a note about that is I don't think you have to play on arm swinger to get high scores in the game.
No.
I think that it has advantages, namely moving around quicker than twin stick even on the fastest mode, but I've never once felt like I could not take the number one spot on a board because of the fact that I was using twin stick.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of grass is greener with the movement options.
Yeah.
All right, 6-point BR.
I don't like making the BR roll ever, but, I still consider this a cursed roll because I don't care that you gave me the M1A with, the longer magazine. It doesn't change my mind that I don't like it.
Yeah. So I think in the 8-point, you get 2 more guns that it could roll. But once again, one of the guns that's added is good, one of the guns added is bad. So you're still at a 50-50 stinker roll.
Yeah, the M1 shorty is rough. The Mark 17 is good, but kicks like a mule. P762, same thing. And the FAL is also good. The chances you aren't going to get the M1 in this are higher now, but yeah, it's still... I don't know. I wouldn't be against it. I would take this if I don't have anything else, but I'm not a fan.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you see the 8-point BR and you're coming up with like an SMG and the BR is the only thing you see in the stores, you're not sad about upgrading to the BR. You wish you could have had an AR maybe, but I would roll that. The Thumper. Is the Thumper in fun tier?
Yeah, that's fun tier. I don't think anybody seriously rolls that. I can't imagine any reason to genuinely roll that. It's a waste of points. It's not viable. It doesn't... A lot of the reason that these explosive weapons aren't viable in these pools or in any pools is because Anton has probably wisely decided that they aren't going to be allowed to damage a lot of encryption nodes. Mm-hmm. So you can't do anything about the most important part of take and hold, which is, popping the nodes as fast as you can.
Yeah, 100%. I think our stocks on the hold 4 3-point SMG have fallen quite a lot.
I can't think of any instance where I'm rolling SMG at this point. I think of like nightmare scenarios where I might have to, but yeah, almost never am I rolling this thing.
Yep. And the mag-fed shotgun still has the same problem it does before. Does it get any more attractive?
I think it does. I think that I am more of an interested buyer here now that it is potentially going to be, not the 155K. I think B tier even. And the reason is because, like I said, the upside of this when you get the better rolls is just so much greater than like what the tube fed shotguns can offer. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Saiga 12 with drum mags is, I think, like one of the ideal things you can get out of the mag fed shotgun pool, and if you get that is setting you up for such a great run, especially if you can get it early. It just makes nothing easier than the the agiles, which is the most difficult part of the run for a lot of people, and that's just such an easy and effective way to take them down.
Yeah. Yeah, going into hold 4 with a pocket full of buck in one hip and a pocket full of a flechette in the other, you're pretty happy about that. Hold 5 anti-material rifle. Are we still just buying it for the sight?
Yeah, same thing. I think it has utility. I think it has more utility than people realize. I certainly didn't realize you could get a sight out of it 3 out of 4 rolls, but still, I think it's worth looking into.
Yep. I think we're still rolling the AR, right?
Yeah,
We're still
definitely.
happy to find a high capacity AR. A BR. I think the BR moves up. If you're still shopping for your end game gun, I think it goes up. What do you think?
I think it can. I mean, if what you mean by it going up late round is just because of how, you might be running out of time to find something and you just kind of need to make something work at that point, sure.
Yeah, that is what I mean.
I think that's fair in that case then. Yeah, I think that A is fine for this. It's definitely one of the things I would want to end a run on if I just, if I had to go with something other than what I prefer.
Yep. Thumper stays in fun tier.
For sure.
I think Thumper but bigger also in fun tier.
Not surprisingly.
Folks, these are a great way to end your run a little prematurely, okay?
Yeah, they're not for much else.
The shotgun, the mag-fed shotty, hold 5. You got those 5 agile encryptions. It's tempting.
Yeah, I think that I don't find this any more or less interesting than before. I think it's just as interesting. It's still got that really high upside, but there's also a chance you're going to spend 5 points on the 155K and just feel terrible immediately after.
Yeah. And then the Mac Daddy. We're finally here. The minigun roll.
Nope. I don't roll it.
No. Instant trash tier. The minigun.
I don't know that I'd call it trash tier, but I don't roll it because there is just a % chance, however small it may be, it looks like from this list, it's pretty significant, that you're going to actually get the minigun.
It is funny that the actual minigun is the worst roll of the minigun pool.
There's a lot of good stuff in there, honestly. And maybe I think for that reason, like the chances that you're going to get something good out of it, it's worth rolling. Heck. I guess I'd put it in like B tier as well. Gosh.
Yes. Oh, maybe A. Maybe A.
I feel like it deserves the A tier just because of the amount of good rifles that are in it, but the fact that it can give you the minigun, which is actually just not usable.
It's so bad. People get so excited when they get it, and then they realize it's impossible to aim at all with it.
You're not aiming with it. Chances are you're not getting headshots with it because of the, spread of like a SOSIG and a half. Exaggerating a bit, but it's got a pretty significant spread and recoil, which makes it so that you're obviously going to be like bodying these things most of the time and legging them to death, and those are worth less points, so your score is going to go down and suffer.
Yeah. That's the tier list, folks. Any final thoughts here, Seth?
Play more take and hold. Be more good, make more skill.
Yeah. Come up and challenge us. Everybody listening, or if you score higher than us normally, maybe take a break. Is there anything you want to plug before we end?
Nope, I don't have anything going on, but yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun to play. New tournament coming soon, probably. Definitely worth looking into.
Yeah. If you're listening to this and you want to get better at take and hold, join the First to Worst Discord. We're always happy to coach new people, learn some tips and tricks. I'm Hoyt, and I've been talking to SetheryVanDamn about Operator Ori.
See ya.
Have a nice day.